Hey everybody. So today we're going to begin reading the Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita for homies. What it does is it gives us insight into our own spiritual and material situation. Bhagavad-Gita was spoken like 5,000 years ago. And it's a conversation between Krishna, who is God, and his devotee, Arjuna. And there's 5 different kinds of devotees. Have a relationship in a passive state. You can have a relationship in an active state. You can be a devotee as a friend, and you can be like a parent. You can be like a lover. These 5 things are ways we can develop our own personal relationships with God. It's stated that what I'm talking about here is what they call Sanatana Dharma, or eternal religion. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada says the word religion is a little different from Sanatana Dharma, because religion conveys the idea of faith, and faith may change. One may have faith in a particular process, and he may change that faith and adopt another. But Sanatana Dharma refers to the activity which cannot be changed. It's eternal. And that's the point of trying to study, the root of where everything that we deal with now comes from. So when you want to know about, all these modern type of philosophies, it's best to go back as old as you can. And the Bhagavad-Gita is right there to give us those answers. The Supreme Lord says that there is a banyan tree which has its roots upward and its branches down, and the Vedic hymns are its leaves. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So how does a tree have its roots going up and its branches going down? Does that make sense? Because this life is a reflection of the spiritual world. It's upside down. And if we can just cut our attachment to this material world, we can go back to the spiritual world. Krishna says, anyone who quits this body at the end of life, remembering me, attains immediately to my nature. And there's no doubt of this. So they're saying, as long as we can remember God, at our time of death, God will take us. Krishna also says, give up all varieties of religiousness and just surrender unto me. And in return, I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Therefore, you have nothing to fear. This is just a method of saying we dovetail all of our actions and efforts in the God consciousness. So we have that as our main fallback, as opposed to sense of gratification or the ego, the me. You have to realize, since we're in the material body, we have so many different urges and sufferings and things like that we want to take care of. Nobody wants to suffer. So if we're hungry, we want to immediately fill our belly so we don't have to deal with hunger pains. Or if we're sick, we want to find the quickest path to becoming well again, And without insight of our own constitution, spiritually and materially, we're kind of working at a disadvantage. This book, the Bhagavad-Gita, gives us an advantage in life to know our position, make sense out of nonsense that we see in this world. Bhagavad-Gita means the song of Bhagavan. Bhagavan is another name for God. I'll get into that later. God has unlimited names. God is Ananta. Ananta means unlimited. In this book, it speaks of a conversation between God and his devotee right at the beginning of a major battle that was about to take place. This book explains that at the precipice of this war, one of the main participants was having second thoughts and doubts. Krishna explained to him the science of self-realization, so he knew what he had to do. He knew his position. The way that these stories are told, especially in ancient times, is it's usually somebody telling the story to somebody else. Krishna gave this science to the sun god passed it on to some other demigods passed it on to humans, and it all the way down to my guru, to me. So I'm able to now explain it to you a little bit. That's why I'm calling this Bhagavad-Gita for homies, because I explain it very much in layman's terms. Anyway, the story goes, the king, who's blind, wanted to find out what's going on at the battle. So he asks his servant, who says, he says, hey man, can you tell me what's going on at the battle? My sons are fighting their cousins, So he finds that, strange, because this is a big family battle, big family war. So the king, he asks his buddy, he said, hey man, can you use your mystic sight to check out the battlefield and let me know what's going on? And the guy said, Jaya's like, yeah, sure. And he goes and uses his mystic powers to observe the armies on the battlefield. And when he sees everything that's going on, he relates it to the king. Oh, king, I see your son, all these people, on the battlefield. What's going on? So,
Can I tell him the rest of the story?
Do you know the rest of the story. Look it up.
Okay. Arjuna told Krishna that I don't want to find my cousins. Should I fight or should I not fight? Asked Arjuna to Krishna. And Krishna said, you should fight.
So there's this war, this battle, and Krishna is explaining to his devotee why he must fight. That's basically the story of the Bhagavad-Gita. It teaches us how we must act in life, because action is key. You can have lots of philosophy and sentiment, but really action is key. We have to act according to our nature. Once we understand our eternal nature, we can dovetail those efforts of our material actions with our spiritual nature. And it should give us a better life. It's worth reading. I'm going to go through chapter by chapter. I'm going to read the whole chapter, maybe have a short discussion at the end of the chapter, and then go on to the next chapter. If you have any questions, please leave your questions and comments below.
In this book, Krishna and Arjuna were having this conversation, and it was very long. No one knew what they were saying. So if you get this book, you can know what all they were saying. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. The soul is the one that controls all of your body. The soul is not the thing that tastes. Your body is the one that tastes. Your soul doesn't smell. You're the one that smells. Your body smells. And your soul does not feel touch, because you only feel, because this body makes you feel touch. And one thing, our soul can never die from lightning strike, from fire, nothing.
The soul is not burned when the body is burned. The soul is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. The soul is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And it's part and parcel of God. So there, when we follow the spiritual science, we become enlightened. The Guru gives us the knowledge of light to bring us out of the darkness. So chapter by chapter, I'm going to explain the translations of the ancient Sanskrit, and then at the end of the chapter, we'll have a short discussion on an overview of what it meant.
Hare Bol!
Hare Bol! Hare Bol! Hare Krishna. Chant, chant, chant.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Show a happy face.